welcome to Born for the Trades, a home service podcast with your host, Mandeep. And I am your co-host today, Shreya. We have a really special guest that we're really excited to hear from. Her name is Stephanie Gorton. She's the Vice President and owner of Energuy and Green Think Inc., servicing California and Canada, an industry leader in permitting and HERS testing solutions. With a proven track record of empowering HVAC contractors, Energuy simplifies businesses by handling permits, completing HERS testing, managing paperwork, and streamlining processes from start to finish. Her expertise and unwavering commitment to excellence has cultivated strategic partnerships with top contractors in California, enabling them to focus on customer satisfaction while Energuy takes care of the rest. Stephanie's leadership and Energuy's comprehensive services provide contractors with the competitive edge needed to thrive in the industry, making them the go-to choice for simplifying operations and achieving success. Join us as we dive deep into the world of home service entrepreneurship, interacting with industry leaders, coaches, and entrepreneurs about their experiences, challenges, and victories. Through their inspiring stories, we hope to equip our listeners with the tools and knowledge they need to succeed in the competitive home service industry. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, tune in to Born for the Trades podcast for invaluable insight and real-world inspiration. So hello and welcome, Stephanie. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Hi, Shreya and Mandeep. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to our show, Stephanie. I really wanted to be on our show, and we have seen a lot of growth, of you and your company. And I think we can get started with Stephanie. Can you please share your personal journey as a female leader in the HVAC industry and the challenges that you have faced along the way? Let's get started with that.
I have the funniest story because I was actually like your normal homeowner, and I hired a contractor to come and replace my furnace and my condenser, and I didn't even know anything about the process or the industry. And I ended up with some permitting fees for open permits on my house. And later, a sales manager who became a very good friend of mine, I called him and kind of reamed him, ripped him a new one for letting this happen. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up working for Energuy, which hires HERS raters to come out and test the efficiency of the system. And if you look in our system, I actually kicked this HERS rater out of my house 3 times. And I didn't want to test because the process was not clear to me. I did not have confidence in the process. I didn't have confidence in what was happening, and I wasn't educated. So when I did get the opportunity to work for the very company I kicked out of my house 3 times, I was pretty committed to fix that process and to never allow a homeowner to be blindsided or confused by the complicated California permitting system.
Oh my gosh, what a perspective you have with that, with being a client and experiencing that for yourself. That just means that you have a perfect understanding of supply and demand in that specific industry, right?
That's amazing.
And as far as being a female leader, I guess we're going to jump right into that. And it's usually an elephant in the room. There are only a few of us. Yes, I have faced some pretty ugly challenges. Some people, which I would say that is minority, some men really kind of had it out for me because I changed everything, shook it all up, and did things the way that they had not been doing them for so many years. But also, I think I don't focus on it, but I'm aware of it. I'm aware that I'm a woman in the industry, but it's not a focus of mine. I'd say the biggest challenge there is immediately being taken seriously, upon introduction.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But if you're competent and you know your numbers, you know your people, and you know your industry, that goes away very quickly. And I'll say I'm more impressed by the men in this industry than I am let down. And I've really had some amazing encounters. I have met some incredible men in this industry that have been leaders for me, mentors for me. And I would say I work with 5 partners that are all men. Most incredible people on the face of the planet. I love it. So definitely way more positive than negative.
And what advice would you give to women coming into the service industry at all and handling this sort of thing?
Don't focus on the fact that you're a woman. Just focus on being competent and knowing your industry. I will say, I think it's being embraced. There was like there's a West African village and nobody had ever been on this island before. They killed a Christian that came over there and he tried to gather information and they would never let anybody over. And somebody was telling me that story and I thought, oh, it's a male journalist. And I asked the question kind of offhanded, have they ever sent a woman over there to try and work? And they were like, so I Googled it and I was like, oh my gosh, they just sent a woman over there. And guess what? She got on the island. She made friends. She got a bunch of
Here you go.
I think everybody's figuring that out, right?
No, that's the way
Yeah.
to do it.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that the woman had more success there?
I think she was not there to push any information. She was there to be curious and learn, which is advice in any industry. Be curious, be open, be there to learn, and no chips on your shoulder.
That's awesome. That's such great advice. And I would say it's pretty consistent advice, which I love across women in the trades. It's stop focusing on how you're a woman, stop focusing on how you're a woman. Almost every time it's a consistent message. So I love that. And
No, that's great. And I think I'm really, really impressed. And I've heard a lot of stories, and especially like Shreya into trades, and now like you and many more. What were the emotional, like I'm sure you were going through the emotional challenges, and you want to share like, a couple of, that phase that you have gone through and overcoming your challenges, like you want to share with the audience so that, other women, they can relate to your story.
I think one of the biggest challenges that I needed to overcome was putting limits on myself and thinking that I needed to be gentle and tiptoe. Like I would just say, it's going to be emotional and it should be if it's worth it, but keep going and come in and be just who you are. And don't worry about slowing down or tiptoeing. If you're going to shake it up and do it well.
That's such good advice.
That's a great,
yeah,
it
great should be emotional if it's worth it. That's quotable. That's definitely quotable. And more about Energuy too, because I was in the HVAC industry and I know the pains of HERS testing and permits, rebating and all of that, keeping that organized and not messing it up, especially at a small company, and the effects of the business and the customer, like you talked about your experience. So how does your partnership with HVAC companies how does it simplify their business to contribute to the growth? And do you have any examples of this, the effects of something like Energuy's partnership with companies?
Totally. So there's no need, there are 506 jurisdictions in California. Every one of those jurisdictions wants you to apply for a permit a different way, schedule your inspection a different way, portal number, whatever it is. Like there are 4 to 6 hours spent on every single job. If you have 50 jobs a month, you're hiring multiple people. Like I'm just saying, it allows companies to stick within their excellence. You want to sell and you want to install and you want to be experts at both of those. Right. If you have to hire and train permit people and then learn all the jurisdictions and all that stuff, you're taking away from happy calls, dispatch, CSR excellence, training your install coordinators to handle bigger issues, dealing with distribution problems. So I would say like that helps them like not even think about it. Pretty much you click a button. We've even just upped our service where we get in directly into Service Titan. We wait for your jobs to be tagged and we pull them all over. We start the permit process. We educate your homeowners. We talk them through the permit process. We do the final inspection scheduling, but this is not stuff that the contractors hear about.
Right.
They get automatic notifications. Permits pulled, final has been scheduled, testing is done.
Oh, wow.
Permit finalized, boom. We even have a message that's like, hey, your permit's been finalized. How about you go have a Mai Tai or take a walk on the beach? We'll just keep finaling your permits. Like that's what we want. So we've seen companies grow from using our permitting service on a very basic level from 9 million the next year to 12 million, the next year to 16 million. They power their machines because they don't have to worry about this extra 4 to 6 hours per job that Energuy is taking care of. And when we're scheduling those permits, we're putting on the brand and the hat and the story of those contractors, and we're going out to represent them and get it done so they don't have raiders kicked out of their house 3 times.
Oh, oh, that's outstanding. And to the listeners, and Stephanie, you can add more. This is the Energuy service, like only applicable for California contractors, right?
Right, right.
Awesome.
In Canada.
And Canada.
Canada and the rebate process. Yep. How do I get my rebate process? How do I upgrade my home? And Energuy is definitely the #1 contender in Canada as well.
And
Okay.
can we cover the rebate processes in Canada and California, like going over that? Because I know that you guys cover that as well, right?
Yep. So in Canada, there are greener homes grants, and then like every province has their own specific rebate program. But you have to have, in Canada, you have to have testing done first. Then you get your recommendations, and then you do your upgrades, and then they come and they test out to make sure everything lines up. And Energuy has all of that covered. They get that EA, they're called an energy assessor out there. And Energuy Canada works with some of the biggest contractors out there, and they also have like connections with Lowe's, Home Depots, Right Times. Like they are the incumbent in Canada, and they do span nationwide up there. So in California, tech rebates, PG&E rebates, SMUD rebates. In the SMUD territory, you can offer up to $9,000 off of your ticket if you're doing windows installation, HVAC changeouts. It's a process, and you also have to have a BPI certification, some advanced testing. Energuy takes care of all of that. Again, they quote the rebate on their contract, submit it to Energuy, and they don't see it again until that check's back.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
Oh,
lot
wow.
of service. You guys cover everything, and that's what I love to see. It's like, oh, we cover everything but this. It's you guys absolutely cover that entire sector of the company. So I could see how that's immediately profitable, just putting all your time and training into the things that are important for ROI, like you said, sales and training. That totally makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's totally impressive, like especially in Canada, expanding in Canada market. So what are the key characteristics and qualities that differentiate the best HVAC companies from the rest based on your experience working with various contractors?
Yeah, so we work with contractors that do $5 million a year, and we work with up to $200 million a year, and the biggest HVAC contractors that would even be considered in the country. And we've seen the practices of all of them intimately. We've worked with their executive teams all the way down to their entry level CSRs, dispatch, and install coordinators. We have relationships with their finance companies, and we also have relationships with their distributors. So #1, like, I know it's a buzzword right now, but it's not a lie. Like, culture is everything. I'm not going to name names. One of the biggest contractors anybody knows about, they really stand by doing what they say they were going to do, when they were going to do it, and if they make mistakes, they don't charge the customer for it. They take care of it every single time. And because it doesn't matter whether I meet with one of the owners, and it doesn't matter whether I meet with a data entry specialist, they're saying the same thing. They have the same message. It's the same culture. And so when I see that, I see less turnover, more longevity, happier executive teams that are more creative and more able to see what's coming and develop expectations for their team, who pour down to the customer. Their Google reviews are out of control. There's no issues there. They don't have any drama going on social media. None of that stuff. They're just focused on
culture,
the big picture and the strategy, right? And you can tell because their communication is very consistent. So we don't have problems with those companies, like answering emails, getting model numbers, finishing the process. Their customers aren't calling us upset. You have to remember, Energuy gets I haven't been able to get a hold of my contractor, blah, blah, blah. We get all those calls.
Right.
So we also know the big guys that we don't get those calls for.
Yeah, I think we had like a lot of guests, like, those who have taken the companies to the next level, like 100 million, 200 million. And what they have done is all about like culture. And I'm glad that you mentioned that culture plays a big role, while working with them and understanding their needs, but culture plays a big role. So thanks for sharing that.
And As a fly on the wall in these companies, I guess on the flip side is what are some actual examples of what not to do and what you see maybe in a negative light at these companies that lets you know as a vendor, like, oh man, they're struggling right now.
Mm-hmm. A number one indicator that that company is struggling is our team has to keep updating email addresses for issues. Like, oh, this
Turnover.
person's no longer on our team. You have to change it to this one. This person's no longer on our team. You have to change it for this one. Or I'll get a phone call from a competitor HVAC company and be like, I used to be at this company. Now I'm here. And I'll go in and sit with people because, like, in the heat of the summer, I think leaders get confused and they always go for Band-Aids. So calls are coming in. They've got somebody that's really good in CSR role. And all of a sudden I'm talking to that person about permits. And I'm like, hey, I want to get to know you. What have you done before? Where did you come from? What's your experience? So I know how to support that person and how to have my team support their install team. And they're like, well, I was a CSR. That's what I was hired to do. Now all of a sudden I'm doing permits and I'm like trying to learn this boss system. I don't really know what I'm doing, Stephanie, to be honest. So any help you could give would be great. And then a month later, they're not there anymore.
Yeah, it's leaving you to train their employee on a new job title that they don't even know what it is. I would agree. I think that I've had the exact same experience. It's like, I don't know what I do here. And I've had GMs, I've had managers of companies tell me that, like, I don't know, a little bit of everything. They can't actually tell me what specifically they do at the company.
Yeah. Or I meet with someone and their stress level is so visible to me that the owner has basically left them to handle everything without any help and without any clarity in their purpose. And I think that leaves people feeling really confused, taking their work home, feeling like they have to step in all the shoes, which just isn't sustainable.
Right.
Yeah, so there's internal marketing. You gotta market to new recruits, and when you have people leaving the job every month because they weren't given clarity, you're not going to be able to recruit that talent that you're looking for to grow and to stand out above these companies who are like, I mean, it's cutthroat. They're competitive out there. So your people are your competition. And when I hear situations like this, and like an install coordinator has just broke down crying before because she's also doing the service tech management. How did that happen?
Oh my gosh.
Like, what? What happened there? So, and then I've had on the higher level, the executive level, I'm very good friends with a lot of the executive teams. We go out for drinks, we hang out, we do whatever. And what I hear from them is like, what development? Like, who's teaching me? I have to pour into all these people on the team. Who's developing me? I can do everything on my own, but like, I don't know where to go from here. I don't know what tools I need. I don't even how I need to change and evolve. And so pour into those leaders. For Energuy, we do 50% of our time as an executive team is spent just developing people. And that's the whole person. You're bringing your whole self to work. You have to know, we have two guys on our team, a quick story, an example. When you sit down with one guy, and that's the thing, you got to sit down and take the time. Hey, what's going on in your life? You have somebody for 10 years, they go through 3 different stages of life. You have to keep figuring out what's important to them. So one guy, you know, he's 28. What does he want? An AMG Mercedes. He's got to have this.
Fancy.
I need to make some money. I need to make the money. I need to make the money. And so I'm like, okay, well, you're going to work your ass off. Sorry, guys. I don't even know.
No, you can.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good. We can have beep. It's okay. Yeah.
So yeah,
You're good.
like, okay, you're going to be a beast in the field then, right? You're going to be working on Saturdays. You're going to be working till 7 o'clock at night, but let's do it. Let's get you to where you need to be.
Yeah.
Well, then we have another guy who's been with us a decade. Well, in that span, he's gotten married. He's had 2 kids. And this guy wants to be home at 5 o'clock for his wife to help with those 2 kids. And he wants work-life balance. He wants Fridays off. He wants all those things. So I need to make sure that that's what we're giving to that specific team member, so that we can help him fulfill whatever his goals are. It's not even company goals, but outside of that, who do they want to be? Who are they becoming? Let's help you get there. And then when you have the best version of yourself in your life, you bring that version to me at Energuy.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that. Yeah, 50% that you focus on executive team, right? That's huge. in shaping up the executive team?
On our calendar, non-negotiable, investing in our people.
Love that. Love that. And Stephanie, in your experience, what are some of the common mistakes that or pitfalls that HVAC companies should avoid in order to minimize turnover and create a thriving work environment?
Clarity.
Okay.
Clarity and development. You have to care about the whole person that's coming into your, that's the number one complaint, is that I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing, just everything. And then I get in trouble for not doing everything.
Right.
And no training. Fine, you want to take someone and you want to have them cover 3 different bases. You want to have them be a shortstop. You have to train them. Spend the time up front. Read 1 Minute Manager. That's one piece of advice. Spend the time up front to clarify exactly what they're supposed to be doing and train them. And that investment in the beginning, it'll pay off in the back end because they'll be able to do that and have the tools and the support.
Love that.
And then lastly, manage up. Don't manage down. Empower your people. Stop micromanaging them. Give them the vision, inspire them, motivate them, give them the tools. And then when they have ideas, empower them to make that change. Do not manage from the top
That's
down.
huge. That's huge. And I think sometimes, most of the companies, they fall into micromanaging and playing with those players. But I think what you just said, that's gonna be game changer if, HVAC companies, they start implementing, playing with the, bigger, I would say, management.
And by the way, for everyone listening, Energuy has a 97% retention rate. Is that right, Stephanie?
That's right.
So she is the expert on this subject. That's why we're talking so much about it. So that she's experienced that for herself. And would you say that, communicating with these companies and seeing all this in action at other companies has helped you develop your own process for Energuy to create that retention rate for you?
Definitely. And the executive team is very, very committed to self-development. So we can't bring all these ideas if we're not working on ourselves as well.
Right.
But learning from everybody's mistakes and hearing those things, yeah, it's a big deal.
And this is the benefit of women in the trades. Because this is not the vague, women in the trades is, well, why? The reason is because it's pretty clear to me from this conversation that you have brought an extreme amount of emotional intelligence to the company and all of these practices that you're bringing to make it successful, because business is people. And you have to know people and be good with people and have empathy towards people and understand that and give them support in order to grow a business. So this is a perfect example of why women in business and women in the trades, it just fits in perfectly. And it's that missing piece of the puzzle that most contractors are missing, is the emotional intelligence. They have all the technical, but how do I talk to this person? How do I?
Right? When you're out there with a customer, when you're out there with a customer in their home, that emotional intelligence goes how far? Because you're not selling a piece of equipment, right? You're creating the comfort for their families. You're allowing their person prone to allergies to be safe and comfortable in their homes. You're taking your feelings about how confident you are in all the people at your company and transferring that to that person. And I'm not here to manage people. I'm here to take really intelligent people and help get them to their goals. And I think along the way, Energuy will succeed.
Well, absolutely.
So absolutely.
No, I think empathy is widely missing, especially in any industry, I would say. And we have seen those who have implemented empathy and those who have emotional intelligence, like what Shreya said, and they have taken their companies to the next level. And I think that's the key. And our core value, one of our core values, our company, is empathy. Empathy is one of the core values. So thanks for sharing that.
And the last thing I just want to go over real quick is just something current that's going on that's relevant to this side of the industry, which is Title 24 changes in California. So if you could give a description of Title 24, what those changes will be, and how Energuy would help with something like that.
Yeah. So what we do, like we were just talking about feelings, we're trying to provide another team for your team as a contractor. We want to come in and we want to make sure you don't have to look this stuff up. We're going to educate your sales team and your executives all the time. But every 3 years, there's a code change. Title 24 basically is the reason HERS testing exists. You have to pull a permit, you have to test it, and then you have to close the permit to get rid of your liability on that job. So for Energuy, we sit on a lot of panels. We talk to a lot of people who decide the future of the state and all the legislation in it so that we stay ahead of the game. 2 things, normally it's not that big of a deal, but the next 3 years is going to be gigantic for contractors. And it's really going to change the perspective that everybody in their company needs to adopt. And the first change is that the state of California, right? Okay, well now the results that we have from duct testing, which is like, maybe it's leaky, maybe your installers didn't seal the registers, maybe that happened.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we can be discreet and we keep those results to ourselves, and then we discuss it with the contractor and we partner and educate in that way. And then we allow them to approach their customer. The big change is that California is going to mandate that homeowners get very transparent information during testing. They basically are going to own those results, and we have to educate them and tell them about duct leakage and what's happening. So installers are no longer going to have the benefit of that discretion. It's going to have to be open communication. Yes, your system failed. No, your ducts weren't sealed. No, the registers weren't sealed. We're going to have them come back. And then the perception of quality is sensitive at that time. So, so that is going to change. And then the number 2 wave that's coming, if anybody hasn't gotten it yet, California is the highest regulated state in the country when it comes to these rules. Electrification, it is coming. It's here already. And I hear like, it doesn't work. We're afraid to sell it. We don't understand it. We don't know what's going on. Why is the heat pump better? Listen, more people have solar panels. More people are buying Teslas. They're all over the road. And if that person has solar panels and a Tesla, they're a candidate for electrification. Mm-hmm. The state has a habit of doing this, incentivizing and giving rebates up front. Oh, yay, $2,000 or $1,000 to electrify. And then the next code cycle, it's mandatory.
Right.
Yep. They're not going to back off electrification. It's not going anywhere.
It's not going.
They're going to have to sell it. It's coming into becoming mandated. Like, it's going to happen.
And this is funny because like in the field, I sold mostly like Daikin VRV and Daikin Fit heat pumps. I was like all about the electric because if you follow the laws, it's like the gas is going to be obsolete pretty much. And
price now.
Exactly, because values and scarcity, so it starts to go down and they're not producing as many because they're going to eliminate them completely. Yep. And then it's triple the price and it's more affordable for a heat pump, which is perfect for California, and it goes with their solar. This is all good news to the contractor. I think it's bad news for people that don't know how to create value and sell, and it's great news for people that know how to create value and sell, because that just means they're going to be selling more premium duct jobs because of that transparency, where, hey, do you need more revenue in order to do a better job on the ducts or do AeroSeal or completely replace them? That means your premium option is actually going to go up and your average ticket is going to go up. It's not bad news, right? 100%. It's great news.
Contractors will use it as a tool to upsell and to do a whole house job and to approach. It's a more educated way of selling, right? It's approaching the system as a house as a whole.
Right.
Now we're doing that instead of like, all right, we're going to change it out for cheaper than the competitor because we won't pull a permit. Like, that's in the past. You're not going to survive and thrive in an environment like that. Use it to your advantage. Same with electrification.
Yeah, you have state proof of the value of the job now on paper, communicated to the client. That's like a dream for me. So take that with what you will with that information. Anybody listening, that you can pretty much create more creative options and use that to upsell and just create more value for a safer and more comfortable home for the clients.
Right. And to the listeners, if you want to reach out to Stephanie, you want to share what's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, you can email sales@energuy.com and it will go to a whole team of people, including myself.
Outstanding. And it was amazing to have you on our show. I think it was very, very valuable to our listeners. And I hope like everyone enjoyed it, and we will see you on the other side. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Mandeep. Thank you, Shreya.